So for some strange reason, folks, I'm actually sitting down and giving you my latest news on Black Myth Wukong because I think I've got sciatica. So I have no feeling in my wrists and certainly no feeling in my legs below, which is bad news for Jason Jr. But I'm getting some physiotherapy very shortly this week, hopefully by a very attractive woman who I've booked an appointment with.
Bouncy, 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 bouncy.
And we'll see how that one goes. So I should be standing up to give you my latest news, but it seems the powers that be, where it comes to the camera angle and everything else, just isn't quite working out. So without further ado, folks, I mean, last night, this game, it was like an atomic bomb dropped on the AAA Western video game industry, because when you see what I got in store for you, honestly, even I couldn't have expected the sales of this game to go crashing through the roof and beyond. I mean, this is bigger than a Taylor Swift concert, and I can't stand that woman either. She's a PSYOPs agent.
In Advent Children, she has larger eyes and a rounder face, with a remake backlash resulting in some Japanese players to complain that she is long-faced with angular features, going as far to claim that she now looks like a Western man.
White chicks.
Something's here.
Who is this hero?
Could this really be it?
On Kung Fu Hot Dog. He's the team here to motorboat fun bags and kick ass. And he's all out of titties.
It's a f***ing video game.
So this is the IGN updated review from Mitchell Saltzman regarding Black Myth Wukong, or as I'll call it throughout this video, BMW, which I think is pretty hilarious. A great action game with fantastic combat, exciting bosses, and a few too many bugs. So we know that stuff already. But when we go over to the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree review, what does he say here? Untarnished. Despite the fact the game was replete with bugs throughout, but somehow he gave this a magical 10 out of 10. It's a masterpiece, folks. It's a 10 out of 10. What could possibly go wrong with this game? And from Game Rant, what do they say here? The new Elden Ring DLC bug is giving players 250,000 runes for free. So you might look at that bug as an actual benefit for the player rather than one that takes away the excitement. But of course, Mitchell Saltzman, he's going to be there praising the praises of From Software's much celebrated game. So over at Forbes, Paul Tassi, Mrs. PT, as we will call her, the insufferable Cat Lady number 2, right after Rebecca Valentine, came out with a hit piece saying, yeah, the legal mindset drop on Twitter X, where Game Science had these bullet pointed ideas about how to enjoy the game, what to say, what not to say, the pros and cons. He made an article saying, yep, BMW, no feminist propaganda, no COVID discussion email is absolutely real. Like we needed her validation to tell us that particular point of view. The same Paul Tassi, ladies and gentlemen, who enjoyed Cuties on Netflix. But here we go, folks. This is the real one from technode.com. Black Myth BMW breaks record with $53 million pre-sales, achieves 1.3 million concurrent players on Steam. Well, that's actually changed, because when I last checked, it was nearly at 1.5 million, but I'll check that in a few moments. So Chinese developer Game Science launched the AAA BMW at 10 a.m. Beijing time today on PlayStation 5, Steam, Epic, and Wii game platforms. Following its release, the action role-playing game triggered an unprecedented download frenzy on Steam, with the platform's data reporting a bandwidth peak of 70 terabytes per second, or terabits rather, holy nuts, shortly after pre-downloads began. As of the time of writing, the number of concurrent online players on Steam has surpassed 1.3 million. According to the 2024 mid-year Chinese game sales report, BMW achieved sales of RMB 390 million. I think that's in their currency. So have a look at that on the concurrent Steam player charts right now. BMW 1,458,168 players. This, by the way, folks, is being recorded at 11:28 a.m. on the 20th of August 2024. That is pretty impressive. And you know what? I've actually got a theory about all of this. So on one hand, you can look at this as being that game science were hoping for the bad publicity, but I don't think it's in their modus operandi to even think that way, because again, as some of my subscribers have pointed out on my videos regarding BMW, a lot of the Chinese YouTubers have to comply with how great this game is going to be, so that obviously has a bit of a surgence, a bit of a forward momentum with the sales going through the roof. I understand that. So yes, we could be feeding the game science machine by saying all these things in their defense, knowing again they're from the CCP, that country of China. Tencent are involved. Tencent, remember, they had this thing a couple of years ago where Alana Pierce was having a podcast and it was mentioned, or she actually dropped the mic, that Tencent on their live action films didn't want diverse people and they wanted women with big boobies to appear in a lot of scenes. And I'm all for that, by the way. So Tencent, you get my 10 cents right here. So I thought that was funny. But again, Tencent, love them, hate them. They've got a big influence in terms of entertainment right now. So we could live to regret this, and Game Science might turn out to be a heinous, hideous company already. But remember, folks, all the physical media I've got behind me here and in my living room, that's associated with studios who may have done nefarious things, who have done nefarious things in the past. This reminds me of Rockstar Games, when Dan Houser was the head honcho overseeing that amazing team of developers.
The original game was based on watching too many American movies and watching all that overhead helicopter chase footage, which was the only camera we could use due to the limitations on the old hardware. But we always wanted to make an action movie when you actually felt like you were controlling a real character, and that's what we've done this time.
But because they had a frat boy culture and Jason Schreier, Mrs. Handbag Lady herself, called it all out, all of a sudden now they had to clean up house. Less toxic in male environments, more safe spaces for the ladies and everybody else who works there. I don't even know what the genetic makeup for Rockstar Games is now, if they've got he-hims and she-theys inhabiting the place, whether there are activists. Again, that GTA 6 trailer suggests, well, maybe they're sticking to the formula that's going to make them billions and billions of dollars. Who knows? So just because that happened and it was all called up by Mrs. Jason Schreier, I think IGN were looking to do the same thing, courtesy of Rebecca Valentine, when she went after Game Science. Again, she had a Korean colleague translating Chinese dialogue, courtesy of Game Science, and it was mistranslated. Ouch. So again, might have been mistranslated on purpose just to make Game Science look terrible. And look, I've seen these ads that they ran. I think they're crude. I think they're funny. It's a bit of harmless fun. Again, if you harken back to games magazines of the 90s, you know, a woman surrendering herself in bed because her boyfriend or husband would rather play the Game Boy, which I think is very funny actually in the grand scheme of things. That's what it was all about, folks, having a sense of humor, getting based women to pose for very funny photographs just to up the sales of the magazines, and people are causing a fuss about it now in 2024 because it's all wrong. But I tell you what, this sends out a message to AAA video gaming companies in the West. Look at the success of Black Myth Wukong. You try to put it down, but the opposite effect happened where everything is going through the roof. I don't think IGN will issue an apology for Rebecca Valentine. It will be up to her to say she was wrong, but guess what? She's not going to do it. And if IGN apologizes on her behalf, they will take the blame. They want to keep their gold star reporter in employment and then maybe discuss with her. I think they've actually discussed with her behind closed doors. How could she go out there and convince everybody that her hit piece on Game Science was the gold standard, because everybody else always pinpoints to that particular article from IGN, right? I don't even rate them anymore. I think they used to be better many, many years ago, but certainly not now. If you look at an IGN video and you see who's presenting, you just immediately want to turn off. There's no Naomi Kyle. There's no Jessica Chobot. None of those lovely ladies. No, you just get some diverse, colored-haired weirdos now who just immediately make you want to gag a reflex. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I reckon there are going to be a lot of Western hit pieces. Even the BBC, I do wonder actually, will the BBC...
A few moments later.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything from the BBC yet regarding this. I mean, are mainstream media going to celebrate the success of Black Myth Wukong? Of course they're not. So this little paragraph here from The Guardian is very interesting. In fact, who actually wrote this? I wonder if it's that chick from... Oh, it's Tom Reagan. Here we go. What does he say here? I am, unfortunately, met with very little honest communication when I bring up a report from IGN, which related alleged sexist comments. Oh my god, how terrible, from multiple developers at Game Science, as well as those in leadership roles. I present Ted with the opportunity to address the claims of misogynistic posts and whether he feels that they represent Game Science values. Instead, I am shut down with a hasty no comment from their UK PR representative, and then, after a long wait, given a longer statement of no comment. Good. Well, that's how it should be, because again, Chinese game companies, South Korean, Japanese are not held accountable to Western journalism. I think journalism is having its day, especially when it comes to video games. I think the old joke about, oh, you're a journalist, what topics do you cover? I cover video games. Next, please. It has that kind of reputation to go along with it. So unless you're somebody like Jason Schreier, who again, we don't even celebrate that guy's achievements because he's a complete and utter loser. And have you seen the state of his wife? Good God, she looks like a mirror image of him.
What's that?
But on that one, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video today and if you want to give it a like, please go ahead and do so. Slap that subscribe button. And if I were you and if you were me, you might want to return for the next video.
Tune in next time, Space Freaks, and hear your doobry go ping in the next gripping installment of
Kung Fu Hot Dog.